Hello and welcome back to the Film School Chronicle, your wire right to the heart of the Brisbane film school scene. Today, I am joined by Griffith graduate, Jarod Woods. Jarod, how are you today?
I'm going pretty good, mate. You know, you win some, you lose some.
Yeah.
Winning more, though.
Winning more? Absolutely. I mean, you graduated.
Yeah, I can say I'm an alumni now, which is just weird, you know.
Cool.
You always looked up, thinking, oh, yeah, masters, research fellows, and it's like, well, you're kind of halfway there now.
Yeah. Undergrad. It's cool stuff. Yeah. Anyway, so, Jarod, we've got a very special episode planned for today. It is a film school advice episode.
Yes.
From all of the experiences and stuff you've had over the last 3 years. So I suppose, without further ado, let's get into it.
Yeah, well, I mean, look, big disclaimer, by no means is this, completely extensive. Everyone's going to give you different advice too, so, take everything I say with a grain of salt.
Yep.
Because everything's subjective. So I've been writing this for a couple of weeks now, just sort of since I started getting towards graduation. It was originally actually to be based off a speech that I did write for graduation. So our ceremony's not too far off, and I did apply for that. Fortunately, didn't get it, but I'm calling my speech the people's speech, because there's definitely a few too many inside jokes about Dean and other people. Sorry for watching, but love y'all. But now this has just turned into sort of a little passion project, because for me, it's sort of the things I wish someone else had told me when I was starting. Right. And, I think the best way for me to give back to the school is, pass on what I know.
Yeah.
That's just what you do. So.
Yeah. Oh, for sure. Very nice. And just before we go much further, I thought it's worth noting that, Jarod, you were the DOP on the grad slate production Crossing Paths this year. And I'm guessing the majority of your advice is drawn from that experience.
I think there's a fair few points that'll be there, and obviously more particularly for a cinematographer or people wanting to get into camera and lighting department. So, if you're out there, this is there's definitely some good points for you. And then others are a bit more general. So, this can apply for first and second years as well. It's not so much just for the grad slate people, which is good.
Yeah, sweet. Well, I'm keen to get some advice from you, sir, so I suppose let's get into it.
All right. Well, sorry for the informity. It's just on my phone. But so the top line for this, I'm calling this, it's pretty much like the Half-Blood Prince Journal, but for GFS undergrad. It was meant to be top 10 tips, but, I couldn't help myself. So started off really easy. I know this is so random, but I've always noticed when it's a sunny day on the second level of GFS, there's always a really cute little rainbow on the steps. I know it's so random, but I don't know. Whenever I have an off day, you miss class, Faramars has been tough on ya. There's just this little rainbow on the steps. So it's a nice little reminder that there's always a rainbow after rain, blah, blah, blah.
Right.
Anyways, more importantly and probably more practically, money is something that I think we're all students at uni struggle with. So there's two really good tips I want to put now. The first one, and honestly after this one, this is probably my favorite point of advice, no joke, even though it's film school, is the pantry on grey. You already knew it was coming.
Dude, I love it. It's brilliant. Yeah.
Well,
they've got so many student deals, but
I was gonna say, you could almost do this point for me, but basically, if you have your student ID on you, and let's just say I'm going to hold on to that ID until they realise it's not valid anymore, because if you go to the Pantry on Grey, which if you get off at Southbank train station right across from our uni, and you take a right at the stairs, you go in and there's a bunch of shops, and on the right is the Pantry on Grey. Show your student ID, $5, you get a huge, wholesome as heck meal, you get a big main, it's like sumo salads, and you get a free coffee if you ask.
Yes.
And it's a medium. It's not a small either. They're not skimping out. And it's literally saving you $10-15, which, trust me, when you're editing 5 days straight at uni, that it adds up, and it's a really good value.
Got me through episodic content at the start of the year, so it was very helpful. Yes. Right. Okay, cool.
Honestly, just bow down to Pantry on Grey. It's amazing. And it's fresh and it's healthy. Another good one is, especially for people that, don't like, I guess, blockbuster mainstream films, although there still is a few popular ones. We actually get Canopy for free through Griffith Film School, which is this new to you?
I forgot I'm gonna be honest. I haven't thought about canopy since first year.
Yeah.
Right. Keep going. That's yeah. Wow.
So well, I mean, this is gonna be a field day, isn't it? But canopy, yeah, like you only really get told about it, either in first year or through Asia Pacific. But it actually has a really good lineup of Australian and international films, especially the Asia Pacific region. And I always go back to it to see because they're still adding stuff. It's not like just some like Boomer's archive. Like it's got a lot of great stuff on there. They've got a few First Nations Australian films as well. So, when I went through Asia Pacific, that was our showcase, was First Nations Australia.
Oh, sweet.
And it was just really handy to be able to access that. And you only get it while you're at Griffith.
Right,
Otherwise, you're going to pay for it, which I doubt anyone's going to. So use it while you've got it, I guess.
And just adding on to that for a second, probably the database might not be as good as Canopy's one, because the uni's got a few films in there. But SBS On Demand is free. Online, like the app for that one. And SBS has always got foreign films and all sorts of indie ones as well. So like
SBS is good. SBS is good. Actually, I've got a point on SBS, but I'll circle back to because
cool.
it's more of a plug than anything else.
Okay,
but, so some other things. When it comes to try 3, I know like the idea of like nearly a half year break. It almost gets to sounds great. Do it in first year. I found that was alright for me. I didn't necessarily. Wasn't falling behind, but I wasn't ahead of the pack either. But doing color grading in second year back then it was actually technically the end of try 2, but it was like week 14. So it was great because you still got to have try 3 off, but you also had like a week's break after, you've done everything else. So technically you do 4 courses, you're still full time, you can still get your Centrelink, but you literally do that course after the other 3 are done.
Right. Okay,
and it's really great, which kind of covers another point is do color grading. Whether you're editing, cameraman, honestly, even as a director, because it's a really well done course. It's by Warren Eagles. He's been in color grading for like 30 years, and you literally get the course done. I think now it's like 2 weeks.
Right.
Which you kind of like, how does that justify, $700 or whatever it is per course? But it's seriously so good. You spend more than half the time just doing the main assignment, which is color grading your own footage if you've got your own. So you edit up and grade your own show reel, and then you do your assignment, and that's the same thing.
Alessandro has just gone through it, and he also very much recommends it.
Nice.
My try 3 recommendation would be directing and acting, because I loved it. But cool. Color grading, right? Okay. I might still. I've still got a few electives left to do, but
It's just good. Like, I'm not seeing myself as becoming just a colorist or that as my main thing. But got it done in 2 weeks. It was like really handy. And all of his cheat sheets I've still got saved, because once you graduate, you forget for a bit that you're going to lose access to all that. So it's like, now I'm going to download all the templates and stuff. So that's sort of 2 of my points covered there. One thing I do regret, because I did actually want to do a proper pitch for grad slate, but didn't get around to it. Could have been a wild card, but honestly, if you're planning on pitching, do PPD and or directing and acting. Because like it literally just sets you up for it, and then the teachers already understand your project far deeper than what a wild card pitch is going to do on the day. But if you want to be a wild card, like, still go for it. I think people get excited by that whole underdog thing,
and it does work sometimes as well, because I know some people have gotten through. So I start that one next Monday, PPD.
Oh, cool.
Bryce and I are.
Yeah, nice. Are you gonna?
Film School Chronicle, the movie. No, I'm kidding. It's not.
Oh my God.
At all.
I was gonna say, no way, man. Oh, who? I forget which teacher. I think it was like, maybe it was one of the deans that did it. But like the Film School, the musical.
That was a thing.
Have you seen the poster for that? I feel like Film School Chronicles might be cramping their style. So just watch. You might be taking up some turf there doing that one. But anyways, I'm keen to see it. I don't actually have that as a point, but I'm going to write this after this, just because, you had friends that have graduated. And this is me kind of plugging it at the same time, but like, if they're free when it comes around to your grad slate, i.e. you being a second year, you helped out on their third year, now they graduated, people will come back around. Like, there was a guy who, he still had like a course or 2 to do, but he was on like 5 or 6 grad slates this year, and just helped with gripping and all these other things. And like, if people are free, they're going to do it. And, it's in the middle of winter, which is when every Aussie film crew wants to shoot, because it's cooler. So, don't ever think you have to just go to, which I recommend grabbing second and first years first, because they're doing the degree. They're the ones that need to learn the most.
For sure.
But if you're really stuck on a spot,
Yeah.
we've done it all.
Yeah.
You know, not that no one else will, but yeah, we're there. So that's a good point.
If the future bodes well, then I'm keen to call you up for some assistance. So yeah. Cheers, man.
Sure, man. Next one I've got, I'll just do it in the order because otherwise I'm going to be jumping all over the place. Back to Winton a little bit.
Yeah.
So do apply for it. And any other travel-based subjects, they're awesome. Like, it definitely is a boot camp, and don't take that lightly. Like, I think a lot of us film kids were seeing it as like a little holiday. It isn't, but it doesn't mean it's not super memorable and super valuable. I had a little bit more of a traumatic experience than other people just because of I tried to get a project up that was really personal, and I mean, that's a whole other thing. But like, I learned some of my best life lessons while I was out there. And also, you get to be in an environment with film school students where it's not just the same thing like at film school and that, and like you actually really get to see what people are like out there. So it's also a good filter and sort of taste tester to see what people are really like, because it's definitely a pressured environment. But you get plenty of time to like go to the pub and have a few drinks, and like Joe, if anyone goes to Winton, when you go to the Australian hotel, Joe is the manager. He's like a half Japanese, half Australian guy. Become friends with him because he will serve you shots of sake like to the end, like an endless glass of sake.
Right.
And I'm pretty sure in Japanese culture, sorry if I get this wrong, but you should leave your glass full if you're done drinking, because if it's empty, they're going to assume you want to top up. So when you go there, if you're done with the sake, don't keep doing what I was doing and emptying it, because you come back from the bathroom and there's another one, and your night ends up very messy.
Yeah.
So
it is also a small country town Aussie pub, so if you're done drinking, don't turn your glass upside down. That's for damn sure. So yeah.
That's it. You're onto it, mate. But yeah, it was really good. And again, it's kind of like the Try 3 courses. You technically get it done in the middle of the year, which is great, because then you also tick off a course. Like, I finished my degree still really busy, but in terms of subject load, so chill, because Winton was classed as a Try 2 subject, but I already had it done.
Right.
And one of my other ones was work placement, but I'd essentially finished. So really, I only had grad slate, which I was a shooter, so I wasn't in post-production, so that one was done too. The only class I did was screen distribution, and it was an amazing class with Danielle. So, if you can set yourself up like that for your last try, it's really good, because it gives you a chance to actually do what they always say, and like, start looking for work early.
Yeah, right.
So like, at the start of Try 2, I was already reaching out for jobs that I'm now on because I planned it in advance, so to speak. So yeah, just, it's a chain effect, honestly.
Nice. Yeah.
So with grad slate, my recommendation, if you want to balance your load, is to pick a pre-production / production and a post-prod role, just because it just evens out your workload really well. So you're essentially just doing one of your positions in Try 1 and one of your positions in Try 2. Otherwise, and I mean, unless you love post-production, do 2 post-prod roles.
Yep.
Otherwise, the only other recommendation I would do is do 2 production roles.
Yep.
So either say, AC on one thing, DOP on another, that are obviously on separate weeks. Or for me, I did DOP and colorist, which was alright, because I just didn't have anything overlapping it. It just makes your life easier, because if you're doing color grading on one and editing on another, like, you don't get a break from that dark room.
Yeah.
And if they clash on the same week, which most grad slates end up editing the same things at the same time, it's too much.
Yes.
Like,
and what would you say to someone hoping to direct?
Well, I'm pretty sure they actually count directing as like your major and your minor. So
I think it's just like the one thing, isn't it? Yeah.
So I guess as director, you're present the whole way through.
Intense
like,
the entire time.
Yeah, so you don't really get a break. But I guess like the fruit of it is like you have your own 15-minute film at the end.
Yeah.
Well, everyone's, but yeah.
Oh, but yeah.
Technically the producers, but we don't really care. Well, our grad side didn't care. You know.
Yeah. Cool.
Said that one. Oh, actually, another food thing, which this is super on the down low. I only just found out about this, but Griffith does a $30, like as the most expensive too, which is great, and lower, fresh produce box that you can actually purchase weekly and pick up from campus.
Right.
And it's heavily discounted in comparison to like Woolies. So you get like all this fresh veggies, fresh fruit, like a carton of eggs, like just all fresh produce in like a big like sort of farm box, and like the most expensive one's $30, but like it's probably saving you like an extra $30 on top of it.
Right.
I think it's just an initiative they do because they know uni students struggle.
Yeah.
But like, have you heard of that?
I have not. Where's that run through exactly? Like,
Man, I swear I might have just picked it up as a flyer from the SRC. Like, they've always got these, random little things going on. So, walk past, see if they've got it. If not, you can probably search it on the Griffith site.
Right.
But, yeah, like, I've had the flyer at home. I never did it, but I was like, man, like, for someone that lives near Brisbane, like, that's really good.
Yeah, that's... Wow, okay. That's a really good one.
I feel like that's my unique point. Like, most graduates watching this can be like, okay, I know that. But, okay, fresh produce box.
I could have had food, cheap food the entire time.
I could have missed Woolies and just picked up my groceries between classes. Anyways.
Yeah.
Another thing on electives, actually. Do electives in other degrees.
Right.
Unpopular opinion, but like, I'll use mine as an example because I think that's the best way to explain it. When everyone was doing like Cine 1 or Cine 2 class, which mind you, like great class, I wish I'd done it at the same time because you learn your gear, but I actually did photojournalism.
Right.
And that's with the photography degree, the Bachelor of Photography at QCA. And if you don't know, it's kind of bad now because QCA has cut a lot of funding and like the photography degree doesn't exist. So not a good example for someone that wants to do the same thing. But it was amazing. And I did it exactly when COVID hit.
Right.
So I essentially got this signed off pass by our teacher, like all legitimate with the MEAA, to go out when we were like in like proper lockdown, like you couldn't leave your house, and I was photographing the streets of Brisbane dead, like no one out, and it was like awesome storytelling because as a photojournalist, you're trying to tell what a video would do just through a few frames.
Yep.
And it was awesome, and also like that sort of thing in particular, I think for someone who's a cinematographer or a camera person, it actually really teaches you how to be patient with your frame and think about your composition, because it's not like video where you've got to plan movement and this and that. You just got a still single shot, and I don't know, I feel like thinking about one frame really teaches you how to handle multiple frames, i.e. video, a lot better. Right. But yeah, I guess back to the general point is, don't think you're just locked into our degree. Like if you were tossing up between 2 degrees, for example, and you decided to pick film, which is what I did. Yeah. I always wanted to do something with the photography degree. Right. So in a way, I kind of did my minor in photojournalism, you could say.
That's really cool. Yeah. I know of some con students in the past who have come over and done like the sound recording and sound design ones as well. So yeah.
Which is, I mean, like super handy, and like even for the soundy, the composers and that came out to Winton, like they were doing the sound recording on set. Like we even had actors that have picked up soundy work now because of what they did at Winton. So like Winton's also a good time that, if you did what I did and didn't do the right thing, I suppose, in first year and try all different departments, and you went, no, like I know I want to be just a camera person, which I regret. Yeah. Winton's like good, like final chance before third year to be like, right, there's no pressure out here. Like you're gonna pass no matter what. Yep. Do something different if you don't get the role you want. But yeah, so that one. Parking. This is another thing. Right. This is probably a bit more common now, but if you want free and secure parking on campus, only on weekends, public holidays, maybe when the trimesters aren't on, I'm not too sure about that. But all weekdays before 9 a.m. or after 7 p.m. at the web center, if you turn off the main of Grey Street and then go down past GFS, where you park for the loading bay. Yep. Keep driving around, turn left, go past, go left past the ship in. Yeah. And then the end, if you turn right, there's an underground car park under the web center. Yeah. And if you drive down there and park and press just the buzzer for security, and you just say, hey, obviously if it's within these times or the weekend, hey, I'm a Griffith, I'm with Griffith Film School. I'm in here doing some work, blah, blah, blah. Make it sound good anyways, just in case. Yeah. But 9 times out of 10, the secchi that's on will let you in because it's not their busy time. So
I always figured that was staff parking under there. Like I knew it existed, but wow, yeah. Sorry.
It is reserved parking, but just not on those times. So weekends it's open game. So like if you need to do your editing, do it on the weekend because you can drive in for free. And if I can drive, I do prefer it over train personally.
Yeah.
So yeah, just a handy little tip there.
Nice. Jarod, I don't want to try to rush you at all, but I know that we're close to our time. So
right.
I think we've probably got time for a few more points. Do you have any ones that are like probably more on the film side? Because the film school stuff, like these sort of practical ones, are really, really helpful. But I was just thinking if you have any sort of maybe some DOP centered ones to close on, then
yeah, that's fine. And I mean, like, you know, this is I'll probably be releasing like the full list of notes. I'm gonna do either like an Instagram, like an IGTV reel, or I might do a TikTok series. So, you know, for all the film school students listening out there, you can follow me, Jarod Imaged, on pretty much everything, and I will be doing that series to help you guys out. So
wonderful.
To be continued.
That'll be great. Yeah.
But probably my best like filmmaking ones are. Actually, this is one from shout out to Emily from my grade, but she said, if you don't know what you want to do, try everything and weed out the ones you hate. I'm the same too, and I think as a filmmaker, we tend to be more cynical than optimistic, because trust me, when you're on set and everything goes wrong that could go wrong, it's good to have that sort of, you know, down to earth, be a bit logistical when you need to. So I do that too. I work back from, okay, what do I dislike the most? And then that doesn't mean that what I pick is what I hate the least. It ends up being what you love. You just have to weed out those other ones. So good point there from Emily.
Nice.
Probably, actually, this is probably my favorite point, and this really helped when our grad site was struggling to get all the crew on the same page about a certain scene or even the overall mood of the film. Because if your gaffer and your DOP and your soundy aren't thinking the same way, you're going to get elements of the film that clash, and you want it to all, you know, be in sync. So it's called the one word activity, or it's what I call it. I didn't come up with it, but this is my version. So what you want to do is you sit down your crew all together. Everyone has, you know, a piece of paper and a pen, and you don't see anyone's responses. And basically you go through each scene of the film and go, write down one word that you think best describes the overall, and you can pick the word here, but the overall feeling, mood, tone, whatever you're trying to get out of your crew of this scene. So for example, our party scene, you know, we had words like lust and anticipation and reservation, but by the end we all came down to the same word. And now when we reshot our party scene in pickups, it was amazing, and it hit that mark so much better than the first time around. So do the one word activity, and then do a one word for the whole film. Like if there was one word to describe the whole film, what would it be? And it's just, every time you get lost, especially as a director, it is a creative anchor to bring you back to be like, okay, I need to remember, what is the purpose of the scene? What's the mood? And it's super, super handy.
That sounds like a really cool activity. Hopefully we'll get the opportunity to give a try.
And do it in pre-prod.
For sure. Absolutely. Well, Jarod, if that's the really great piece of advice that you'd like to close on, I think we might have to wrap up here. But
I think that's probably my favorite point. But yeah, like I said, I'll release the rest. Yes, that's a wrap.
Looking forward to seeing the rest of those as well. Jarod, thank you so much for coming on the show. I know it took a while to try and get this organised, but like we were really grateful for you to coming on the show.
Oh mate, I've been wanting to get on it for like a year, and I'm glad, you know, you're in the second season, and you know, got everything sorted. So
and we have brought people back in the past. So you know, if you know next year you're out, you're working, and you think, hey, I've got some more advice for anyone who's still left in film school, feel free to contact us and jump on the show again.
Well, I mean, I can say now already, I'm getting on some a lot of A-scene work, drone operation if you're into that, coloring on the side, but also like a big hit in the doco space. I'm actually working on a few exciting projects that'll be released on SBS,
wonderful,
and NITV quite soon, which is our Indigenous channel. So especially if there's any First Nations filmmakers out there, any colorists, ACs, DOPs, check out what I'll be doing sort of through next year, and then, you know, if I jump back on, and then also follow Lucas Tomoana. He's with the Australian Cinematographer Society, and he has Cinema Podgrapher. Just going to shout out another podcast here. Amazing podcast. Talks to some big names, so highly recommend that. But I reckon I'll leave it there.
Sweet, Jarod. Thank you so much. Thank you to all of our listeners, watchers, however you are taking in this content today. Thank you to Sandro on camera, and thank you to Jacob, our editor. This has been the Film School Chronicle.